Okay, in this video I'm going to take you through how to set up under the cabinet lighting and also toe kick lighting. This image shows the final product, what this will look like after the lights are installed, and then a rendering is shot, sent up to Autodesk Cloud to see what this is going to look like. So this is where we're going to be headed today. So what we'll do is back in Revit. Right now what I need to do is first I need to do a few things. One, we're going to go ahead and set up the under cabinet lighting. So we'll go ahead and we'll grab the component tab, and then we'll slide over and we'll see if we have any under the cabinet lighting loading in here, which I doubt we do. So since we don't have it here, we'll go up to Load Family, grab the Load Family tab, and then we're going to slide down through here until we find lighting. Same place that we found the can lighting in the last video. And here we're going to go to Internal because we're inside, not outside. And now we just need to find downlight under cabinet. If I select it once, I can have a little preview. Really can't see a whole lot from that preview, but I know it's under cabinet down. Hit open, and now we can see it's a downlight under cabinet, 120 volts. And what we're going to do now is we're going to slide over to underneath of this cabinet, and we're going to go ahead and then just place one of them. And now we get this warning that says none of the created elements are visible in floor plan. You may want to check the active view. Well, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to adjust our view range. So the view range is the issue here and why we can't see this particular light. So I'll just hit escape to finish placing these, and we'll get out of this warning. And now what I want to do is, first off, let's just double check to make sure this is showing up. I'm going to just go to this section view quickly. See, yep, there it is. It's under the cabinet. So that would be the light fixture, but we just can't see it. So since I have the two views open right now, I'm just going to go to View and Tile My View. This is actually a very useful tool to have open when you're doing this. And now I'm going to set my view range. I'm going to start adjusting my view range. And as you can see that light is here. Probably a good thing to know is what is the height from the floor to the bottom of that cabinet to see where that cut plane needs to reside. So instead of just messing around with the cut plane right away, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get a measurement from what would be the floor to the bottom of the cabinet. And it looks 4 feet 5 and 7/8. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come back over to my top view. I'm going to hit escape to get out of my dimension tool. Then I'm going to hit view range. And I'm going to take this up. Let's just go ahead and take this up to 4'6" and hit apply. Once I do that, I can now see the light appear. Now I can start positioning these underneath of the cabinet. So we'll go ahead and hit OK, and then we can start adding more and populating them as needed. Now with this visible, what I can do is I can really start to understand that this dotted line, this hidden line, is actually the line of the wall cabinets. So I want to take this light and I want to move this light so it is forward of this particular cabinet. So it's on the front side of the cabinet, but I don't necessarily want it to be too far forward. The other thing is, I'm going to hold it back just a little bit. The other thing is, I want to add a severe amount of light under here. I want to flood this work area with task lighting. So while this is selected, I'm just going to hit my copy, and then I'm going to select a point on this particular feature. All right, copy tool. Grab a point and drag directly over, keeping them in line with each other. That way I don't have to push it forward or back anymore. Then I'm just going to have to then kind of move this over a little bit to sort of set this up so that they're laid out underneath of this cabinet. Now, you can dimension to these things and lay them out exactly perfectly, but in the end, when you go ahead and shoot your rendering, you're never really going to be looking at that specific of an area. So you just really want to have that effect of the lighting cascading and bouncing off the walls back here. So we're going to go ahead and we'll drop that in. Next thing we're going to do is I'm going to grab another one. I'll copy. And I'm not sure if I'll put one here, but I definitely want to put one over here in the corner. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this over here to this corner. Then I grab my rotate tool. Because I want this to be on the front edge of that 45, with the rotate tool turned on, I can then just move out here a little bit and I can click and then turn until I get to a 45-degree angle and then click again. By doing that, it now rotates that light so that it's in a parallel angle to the front of the cabinet. And then we just keep moving forward. I can go ahead and grab my copy tool, bring this one over to here again. I will just go ahead and rotate this one, this time 90 degrees, and go ahead and start placing them on top of this area. And I'll probably keep these even, keep those here, miss the small cabinet. I'll go ahead and put 2 here. We'll flood this area here with light also. Drop those in position. And actually I'm going to highlight both of them and pull. I think this is going to be a pretty tight cabinet to fit this in. So we'll make them just fit. And then of course we'll do the same thing. And if I'm going to go in a linear fashion, I can actually grab both of these at the same time. I can grab my copy tool and drag to this side of the stove. So now we're over there. All right, so now we have under the cabinet lighting spread out and around. And I'm going to go ahead over here and take a look at this elevation view. Now the only thing that I found as I start doing this, if you keep the lighting down low, you're going to see that strip. That strip's going to become very, very apparent. So what I like to do with my under the cabinet lighting is I select one of them. All right, I select one, I right click, and I select all the instances in this particular project. And I now want to actually just move them up into the cabinet very slightly. So I'm going to move this up into the cabinet by 1/2 of an inch. And the reason why this is set up as level 1 offset 0, 0 is because it already understands the bottom height of a cabinet. If I move this light too far up into the cabinet, the light will disappear completely. But by putting this up slightly, it hides that light. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit more of an effect where it's hidden. Okay, so that's really the effect that I'm going to try to get here. So I try to hide that under the cabinet. Once I do that, I'm now ready. I could go ahead up and set up a rendering, or what we could do is go ahead and start setting up the toe kick lighting. Okay, before shooting the rendering, what we're going to do is we'll set up the toe kick lighting next. We're going to use the same light fixture, but what we're going to do to make this a little easier is we're going to take and select, we'll go ahead and select these two, and I'm going to grab and I'm going to just copy these two forward. There's a reason why I'm copying these forward before I start dealing with the toe kick. It's because I need to drop them down in height, and they're the ones I want to actually use. So I'm going to grab this one, do the same thing. I'm going to copy it forward, and I'll do the same thing to these, and I can grab these as well while I'm here. Grab the copy tool and bring them forward. Whoops, I did something not right here. Let me do an undo quickly. Not sure what I just did there, so we'll grab that light, hold down Control, grab the second light, third light, fourth light, and we'll copy them forward. All right, now that they're forward, they're all still at the same height. So if I were to look at this elevation, you don't see anything down lower because they're all exactly still at the same height. So when I come back over to the top view, I'm going to then select the lights that I want to drop. So they're the lights that I want to go down to the toe kick. When I do this, I'm going to now come over here to the offset, and from the bottom of the standard cabinet height, I'm going to highlight, and I'm actually going to type in the distance down to the toe kick. Well, how would I just even know what that is? Well, in my elevation here, I can go ahead and I can get a measurement from what would be the bottom of the standard cabinet to where the toe kick is located. And that is 2 feet 2.5. I'm going to use that number, 2 feet 2.5, to drop the lights down. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these again. Then I'm going to type in here the offset of negative. I'm sorry, not 2 feet. It's going to be 4 feet 2.5. However, that's going to be slightly lower than I want it to be. Because they're going to protrude out the bottom of the cabinet, I'm going to take it to be 4 feet 2 inches, and they will very slightly protrude out the bottom of the cabinet. So now they should be down lower, that if I now come over here in my elevation view, I can see, yep, I got lights down here. Those are the lights that I'm going to then push back in underneath of my toe kick. So it looks like this one did not drop down. So I select this one, I got to get this one now. So this one is going to be 4 feet 2 inches. And did that drop? Looks like it dropped, but I don't see it over here. That one's correct. Well, we'll have to find that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start positioning these back. I'm going to start pulling this one back in underneath of this toe kick, which the toe kick, as long as you get it inside of that hidden line, you are back inside of the cabinet. So we'll pull this back in underneath of the cabinet. But you can't go too far under the cabinet, because if you go too far, you're going to be inside the cabinet, and then the light's not going to come out. So you want it to be just underneath of that front edge of the cabinet. So with those set up and underneath of there, I gotta come back over here and figure out what happened to this one. So we'll copy this guy and we'll copy it back out. See what happened here. Then I'm gonna drop it down so the dight's gonna be negative 4 2, well, not 4 foot, 4 feet 2.5. There it is. Now it's down there. So now we'll take and just drop this underneath of that cabinet front edge. Okay? And now we could go ahead and actually shoot a rendering to see what this is going to look like. So I'll go into one of my just default views here, and we'll get this set up. Oh, there's the light. That light ended up way up here in the ceiling. Maybe I put +4, not -4. Oh, we don't need it now. We'll just delete it. So now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to walk over here so I have a little different view. That looks pretty good. That'll set up the under cabinet lighting view pretty nicely. And I'll just make sure my rendering settings are correct so that I'm going to have interior artificial only, as if it's dark outside. I'm going to set this up at draft. That's all good to go. However, we have one other problem. We don't have a floor. So the light's not going to be able to flood out onto this floor. The light is just going to disappear out into nowhere land because we don't have anything for it to reflect off of. So one last thing I'm going to do quickly is I'm going to go ahead and throw a floor into this particular structure quickly. And I'm going to add something to the floor. Let's just use hardwood floor. So we'll add a level in here quickly. And we'll say that this is like an engineered flooring at a 1/2 inch thick, like a snap together pergo. And then we'll just go in here and grab some flooring. And there's wood flooring. Alright, so that's all good. That's set. That's set, apply, hit OK. And we'll just make that quickly. Alright. There we go. Back to that view. And now we have flooring down here. If I look at this in the realistic view, we should see hardwood flooring. Okay. Now I'm ready to send it up. So we'll go ahead and send this up and then we'll get a chance to take a look at it. Alright, we'll continue all this in the background, and we'll see what it looks like when it's finished.